Yes, guys, welcome to another episode of the Fit for Success podcast. And we're in December, believe it or not. I have no idea where this year has gone. I probably say that every year. I feel like it's the most British thing in the world to say, but we are in December and we're a few weeks away from Christmas. And one thing I wanted to speak about on this podcast today is ultimately why the festive period can be challenging, but also how to overcome that challenge and how to still make progress through the festive period, through Christmas, and ultimately kickstart 2025 in the right way. I know December's difficult. I know the festive period for most people is difficult, especially you guys with businesses who have lots of networking to do. Ultimately, that can lead to charity dinners, galas, Christmas parties, all of that stuff, right? And that means there's an abundance of food around. There's an abundance of food at business and work, and there's more parties and more alcohol. But and then also you go home and there's two boxes of celebrations, a box of heroes, and you start on your day with a chocolate out of an advent calendar. So I get it. I understand that it's difficult through December, and it's more challenging than most months. But I promise you, if you can learn to master December, the rest of your journey is going to feel absolutely easy. So I want to give you some quick, simple, easy tips in this podcast to help you manage the festive period, manage December, so you can kick 2025 off in the right way. Now, one of the podcasts that I've just recorded, I don't know whether I'm going to put it out before this one or after this one, was about the all or nothing mindset. And I see a lot of people fall into that in December, where they go, you know what, I can't be perfect. I can't be all in. I can't focus on my fitness journey properly. So what's the point? I'm just going to wait until January. But inevitably, what that leads to over December is them putting on a bunch of weight because they've decided that all out, and they've decided that they're going to eat as much as they can and enjoy the festive period and not worry about it because they're going to worry about it in December. They get to January the 1st, realise that their jeans still aren't fitting them anymore, and they need to put another hole. They get to January 1st and realise that their jeans aren't fitting them anymore, that their buttons are popping out of their shirts, and that they probably took it a little bit too far. So yeah, we want to make sure that doesn't happen, that we find the middle ground here in December this time round. So I can tell you now that I've done this numerous times in over the past years, 100%. I used to view December as the exact same way. I would drink probably 2 times a week, and I mean drink. I would go out and get pissed up, pub crawls and the like, and then Christmas parties. And I'd just say, hey, it's Christmas, it's December, it doesn't matter, I'll tackle it at a later date. What that led to was me feeling absolutely shit when it came to January, me setting New Year's resolutions where I probably could have just done walk the walk in December and made it a lot easier for myself. And me just feeling shit about myself, just not feeling good. Negative mindset, took a toll on my physical health, took a toll on my mental health. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. So I want to start this podcast by saying I don't want you to view December as or me saying this about December and saying you can still progress, that you have to be 110% on it, and that you have to deprive yourself from the social occasions and deprive yourself from the Christmas chocolates. It's about finding that balance that's working for you. It's about finding that middle ground, as opposed to going too far one way and going, oh, I fucking love Christmas and I'm going to eat everything in sight, to I'm not going to eat anything at all and I'm going to do it to extreme. We've got to find that middle ground for you, because weight gain is not inevitable. A lot of people over Christmas believe it's inevitable because that's what they've always been told. It's what their parents always did. It's what their families always did. They always ate too much over Christmas and then, made a laugh and a joke about it when it came to January of, haha, I've got another 5 pounds to lose this month. Now, it is not inevitable. You do not have to gain weight over Christmas. And the first thing that I want you to do, actually listen to this podcast, is setting an intention for the festive period. Over the next 3 weeks, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to get out of it? What is the goal over these 3 weeks? So with my clients, I give them 3 options over the festive period, and the same with holidays and stuff. Is the question that I always ask is what is your intention here? What would you deem a success? Do you A, want to continue progressing? Do you want to lose body fat? Do you B, want to come out of it maintaining where you are? Or do you C, actually just want to damage control? And I explained to them that each of those 3 has a different level of sacrifice behind it, and you're going to have to make a different level of trade-offs. Ultimately, to continue progressing, to continue losing body fat, you are going to have to make more sacrifices. There's no doubt about that. You'll be able to, at the socials, you'll have to make more sacrifices in terms of the foods that you eat, or whether you're going to have alcohol. At home, you're going to have to make more sacrifices in terms of, okay, maybe I'll only have 1 or 2 chocolates out of the celebrations rather than a handful, and you do have to make more sacrifices. Maintenance, still have to make sacrifice, but slightly less. We have more of a balanced outlook. And damage control, when I say damage control, it's we set an intention behind the weight that they're happy to ultimately gain. So whether they're happy to gain a kilo, then we set that intention and we say, okay, you're happy to gain a kilo, here's how I want you to do it. And there's slightly less sacrifice, but there are still sacrifices to be made. I want to be really clear. Even going for the damage control option is not just going, fuck it, it's Christmas, and just eating everything in sight. It is doing it with the intention behind it. So I want you to set an intention for yourself. What do you want to achieve out of December? And actually, for the vast majority of people, I'll recommend either going for the maintenance option. And you could still absolutely progress through Christmas, but if you're someone who has 2 socials every week booked in up until December, you then have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and Boxing Day with the family, I think be realistic, go for maintenance and just go for maintaining body weight, maintaining your progress, but ultimately learning how to balance the social occasions whilst maintaining. That is a key skill to have for the rest of your life, because next time you're on holiday or next time it's a birthday or next time it's Christmas, you're no longer doing this thing where you fluctuate in your weight. You know how to control it and you can come out the other end in a really good position. So one of the things that I want you to realize is that, and this goes for any time of the year, but specifically in December because there's so much eating out and stuff, is that it's not one meal that is going to lead you to getting fat. It's consistently showing up in a certain way that's going to lead you to get fat. To gain 1 pound of body weight, you need an excess of 3,500 calories. What I mean by an excess is that is above and beyond your daily calorie intake, your daily maintenance calories, sorry. So let's say myself as a 6'2" male, around about 90 kilograms, my calories, my maintenance calories are probably somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000, right? So let's call it 2,750. In order for me to gain a pound of fat, if I were to do that in one day, an actual pound of fat, I would need to eat 2,750 plus 3,500, which off the top of my head is somewhere in the mid 6,000s, right? Not going to do the actual maths because I don't want to embarrass myself. My point is, it's not one day that happens. It's very hard. It's relatively difficult to eat 6,500, 7,000 calories, right? And if you're gaining 5 pounds over the course of Christmas, which a lot of people do, a lot of people gain a lot more than that, 5-10 pounds, then you're eating an excess of a lot of calories. You're not doing that in one day. You're not doing that with one meal. Even if you have, for the whole of December, even if you have 2 social occasions every week, okay? So that is 2, 4, 6, 8, okay? 8 out of 30 days is below 30%, it's like 25%, right? Something like that. Again, awful maths, but somewhere around there. Ultimately, if you're controlling the rest of your meals, if you control, and that's on days actually. If you think about the meals, it is 8 meals in the social occasions out of 90 if you have 3 meals a day over the course of Christmas, right? So all of a sudden you're below 10%. So if you control the other 90% of your meals, 90% of the food that is going in your body, you're going to still be able to make progress. So you have to realize that it's about consistency. It's about showing up for yourself on the other times rather than saying, fuck it, it's Christmas. And, letting one meal go into 2, into 3, into 4, into 5. So in order to, once you've set those intentions, once you realize what you want to get out of it, what I would do is get my calendar out and go, okay, I've got a social occasion this week. I've got a social occasion on that day, that day, that day, that day. This is what my Christmas looks like. You then set the intention behind each of those. If it's one that you're not actually that bothered about, and maybe it's a work event or something like that, then maybe that's one where you go, okay, I'm only going to have one drink and I'm going to set the intention behind that to come out of it still an amazing place. I'm going to have one gin and slimline tonic, and you're going to come out of that still feeling good, and make sure that you're still in a calorie deficit or whatever it is that you might be working towards. Others, you might go, and I can tell you now from experience, I still do this. If I was in England, I'd be doing this year, hands up, is we do our Christmas pub crawl every year. And for me, that's one that I just go, hands up, I'm just going to drink a lot of alcohol here. I'm probably going to feel shit the next day. But that's something that I'm willing to trade off. And that's okay. But if you do that with every single one of them and you don't have an intention behind it, you're going to lead to a poor position. So I know myself, I will have kind of one in the month of December where I'm like, that's the one that I'm going to go enjoy. That's the one that means a lot to me. The rest of them I need to control to some degree to make sure that I come out of it looking after my health, looking after my performance, looking after how I feel. The social events over Christmas, like I say, there's so many of them, especially if you're in business and you go into networking events and stuff like that. How can you manage them? Now, the first thing that I would say is it depends what type of event it is, but you don't want to be going to those events feeling ridiculously hungry. So I would practice actually pre-eating. You've probably heard of pre-drinking before, where you drink some drinks before you go out, so you don't have to spend so much at the bar. I want you to practice pre-eating. I know that sounds funny, but have a nutritious meal, high protein meal before you go out, something that is going to serve you and your goals, so you don't feel ravenous when you get there, and ultimately that's going to support you from overeating whilst you're there. And again, that is if the intention behind that event is to still come out of it, progressing with your goals. If it's one of those that ultimately you just want to enjoy, then that's absolutely fine to not do that as well. But I think, in general, that's a very good idea, and it will stop you from grazing. So if you're at, for example, the office drinks and they have a spread of food out, it's very easy to just start grazing on that for half an hour at a time, and you're not really realizing what you're picking up, the mini quiche, the sausage roll, whatever that might be, and it inevitably leads to a position of you overeating way too many calories without realizing. So actually doing a little bit of pre-eating can stop you from doing that. And then you have the alcohol. Obviously there's a lot of alcohol around the festive period for a lot of people, so to put that into context, it can really add calories to your days and to your weeks. If you think you have 5 beers on a Friday, 5 beers on a Saturday in the name of Christmas, all of a sudden you've just done an extra 2,000 calories. But more than that, has a huge effect on your energy the next day. It has a huge effect on your decision making with your food the next day. Has a huge effect on your motivation and how you want to show up for yourself. So it has a big impact. So with your alcohol, again, I would just set a drinks limit. I would look at your socials step by step of, okay, we have one this week with, I don't know, clients that I'm not actually too bothered about. So on this one, I'm not going to drink. I'm just going to stick to the waters and the Coke Zero. The next week is the annual pub golf that I do with the lads. That one, okay, I'm going to drink, but I might set myself a limit of say 10 beers, or I'm going to go home at this time. And later in the week, I might have 2 glasses of wine because I'm going out for dinner with the wife, whatever that might be, right? So you have to set yourself a limit and be realistic about it. Just don't have them all as like you're going to get royally messed up, because I know it's more than just the alcohol. The alcohol makes you feel shit physically and mentally, but also, like I say, it has a huge knock-on effect to your decision making around the food the next day, and that's where you will lead yourself to a point of fuck it, it's Christmas. And just on alcohol, how can you make better decisions whilst you are out and whilst you are drinking? So I want you to start thinking about, ultimately, how can you control your calories? How can you control the hangover the next day? We all have those drinks that make us feel really hungover. Unfortunately, mine's whiskey because I'm a massive whiskey lover. But if I drink that, I'm going to feel like trash the next day. So think about those drinks that ultimately make you feel okay, and stay hydrated throughout, just to aid that hangover the next day. Even if you have a couple of drinks, just hydrating yourself is really going to stop that dehydration and that hangover the next day, which is ultimately going to mean your decision making around your food and stuff is going to be a lot better. But on top of that, controlling your calories. I drink, I love a beer, right? But ultimately, if you drink a pint that can have 220 calories in, so 5 of them, all of a sudden you're over 1,000 calories. If I were to stick to, say, a vodka Diet Coke or a vodka Diet Lemonade, that's only about 70 calories in that. And if I have 5 of those drinks, it's only 350 calories as opposed to 1,000. So making your decisions wisely this month with your alcohol could save you a lot of calories and therefore aid with your weight loss. Next tip is to ultimately prioritize your fitness goals still. So don't let it be a month that you just put it off, put it on the back burner. This should be a month where actually you're doing more, not less, because you are going to be eating more. You are going to be bringing more calories in through alcohol and through food and social occasions. So I want you to prioritize your actual fitness, your movement goals. Work on getting an extra 2,000 steps in compared to your average at the moment. If you have a look at your phone app, if you're getting 8,000 in at the moment, work to get 10,000. If you're already getting 10,000, work to get 12,000. Do a little bit more to ultimately aid burning a few more calories throughout the week, and prioritizing your fitness. Make sure that because you're going to be super busy, your schedule's going to be packed, make sure that you are putting in your diary, into your calendar, when you are going to get your training sessions in. So if you have a program that's 4 days a week, what slot is that going to take up? Treat yourself like a really important meeting. Treat yourself like you're meeting the king, right? Put it into your calendar, make sure you set alerts on it. That is your time to get those workouts in. It's non-negotiable. You set it at the start of the week. You don't let it be moved. Ultimately, that's going to help you plan around the socials and plan around being super busy over this month. And I know what you're all thinking. You're probably waiting for me to talk about Christmas Day, but my I'm going to go against all of my advice here. On Christmas Day, it's one day of the year. Same with a birthday. Ultimately, do whatever you want. Enjoy it. Be an adult. Have a good time. I guess my only recommendation, my only bit of advice with that would be to don't eat to a point where you're feeling sick. Don't eat to a point that is just unnecessary. When you do feel full, put the knife and fork down. Don't go back for the second plate of cheese. But ultimately, Christmas is memories over macros. Enjoy it. Have a great time. And yeah, that's one day that for me, I don't think about it. I'm going to have a big plate of food, and I'm going to have a great time. But again, it comes down to making sure that the rest of the month and the rest of your decisions are on point. Okay, and that we've got a balance there, rather than every social occasion being like Christmas Day, because it doesn't need to be. Christmas is one day, not 30. So I guess just to end on that, actually, enjoyment in this time is really important. Again, memories in this time are really important. If you, and I'm going to contradict myself slightly, but if you knew that you only had 6 months to live, you would regret going too hard in the December period, or most people would regret going too hard in the December period and missing social occasions and missing out on spending time with our friends and family. So it is really important to have a focus on your enjoyment, and to go to these social occasions, I believe. But you just have to do it properly. You have to find that balance. It doesn't have to be either you go all in and you go to every single social and drink what you want and eat what you want, or you go all out and don't do any of them and don't turn up. You've got to find that middle ground to keep you happy.